James, chapter 1. James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. My brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into diverse temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. But let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Let the brother of low degree rejoice in that he is exalted, but the rich in that he is made low, because as the flower of the grass he shall pass away. For the sun is no sooner risen with the burning heat, but it withereth the grass, and the flower thereof falleth, and the grace of the fashion of it perisheth. So also shall the rich man fade away in his ways. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God, for God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. Do not err, my beloved brethren. Every good gift, and every perfect gift, is from above, and cometh down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. Of his own will begat he us with the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. For the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God. Wherefore lay apart all filthiness and superfluity of naughtiness, and receive with meekness the engrafted word, which is able to save your souls. But be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. For if any be a hearer of the word, and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass. For he beholdeth himself, and goeth his way, and straightway forgetteth what manner of man he was. But whoso looketh into the perfect law of liberty, and continueth therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed. If any man among you seem to be religious, and bridleth not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart, this man's religion is vain. Pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this, to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world. James.
Hey, Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rakakodash. Hey, much mercy to you sincere brothers out there. The true house of David. All you brothers that understand this new covenant, that really have a understanding of what this is. The simplicity that's in Yahweh Shai. And it's so heavy that it is so simple that guys can't believe it. You know, it is so simple. You guys can't believe it. You don't need new bodies to be in the new covenant. You don't need nothing glorious. The word immortality just goes into forever. The word immortality is eternal. So what makes you immortal is your righteousness in Yahweh Shai. The garment isn't nothing far-fetched. The new garments is the righteousness of Yahweh Shai. That's all it is. That's why those old garments, you can't mix them with the new covenant garments. They're different. Guys that are mixing wine bottles and they're mixing covenants together, they have no understanding. You know, just like what camps are doing, and that's what keeps us here. Men holding you to that old covenant. That's what keeps men here 40, 30. That's what they were doing in the first century with the Lord being here. They were holding them Passovers, and they were having all these things, these decades and these decades. They were holding men to that old law. That's why the Lord said when he came, he came to set you free. That's what the Lord meant when he said, when if he shall set you free indeed, you should be made free. But what's happening is that the majority of men are being held to two covenants. So mostly guys that are of the flesh, they're holding you to that old covenant. You're of the flesh holding to that old covenant. That's why James said that that you can't be a double-minded man is unstable. Because when James is talking about men being double-minded, then you're bouncing in between. You're bouncing in between the understanding. You're bouncing back and forth to and fro in the world. You're bouncing between two masters. You're bouncing in between two different ways. A double-minded man. So guys are very unstable being double-minded, holding men to two covenants. The Lord said there's only one way. How simple is that? The simplicity in Yahushua. The simplicity that's in the Lord. And guys can't understand that because they have no understanding. This is what it means when the Lord said he cut guys off. They have no understanding. So they don't understand you can't hold two covenants and hold two masters. You can't have two husbands. They don't understand that there's just one way. And the Lord came and freed us from that old way. They don't understand that. They've been taught that you're holding both covenants and you're waiting on new bodies. There is no new bodies holding man to the old covenant until the Lord comes. When the Lord comes, he's going to say, I never knew you. Depart from me. You was not believing in the Lord the whole time. You were teaching men that they were waiting on something. This is false doctrine. And this is the last time. Guys have no understanding of torment. They have no understanding of the Gentiles. All their understanding is carnal. A wicked generation is looking for new bodies. You see what I'm saying? If you're wicked, you're waiting for something carnal. Then when you see something carnal, then you can believe. James 1:8, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So in this sense, holding to two masters. So you're holding to the old covenant and you're in the new covenant and you're holding to that old heritage. That old heritage, that's what got you out of the old Egypt. That is not going to work for this Egypt. The guys don't have that understanding. If guys really understood hell and really had the real understanding, they would not be holding you to Moses. That old yoke is the yoke of Moses. The garments now is you being in the right spirit. And the right spirit is not in the old covenant. The old covenant is not nothing of faith. Everything is of the new covenant. The new covenant is where the righteous garments is. This is Matthew 6:24. No man can serve two masters. For either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. So you can't hold two masters and you can't serve God and money. Two masters. The Lord, they refer to the Lord as a master. Moses will be the master over the old law. But you cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve two contracts. You cannot serve two husbands. If you're carnal, you'll do things like that. If you're carnal, you see. But if you don't have an understanding, you will not the understanding of Paul, what Paul is saying in these letters, they will go right over your head. You know, and by you brothers teaching and bringing out certain things, this new covenant is going way over a lot of guys' heads. So you cannot serve two masters. This is very basic, and it's a very easy principle. Very basic principle. So guys don't understand that you cannot hold to Moses and then say that you're under the Lord and then tell me you're waiting on the Lord. When in the first century, they were not teaching you to hold to Moses, man. This, you really got to understand this. This whole campaign, holding man to the flesh, this is Satan's last attempt to keep men in the flesh. That's what this is all about. This is 2 Corinthians 11 and 2. For I am jealous over you with godly jealousy, for I have espoused you to one husband, that I might present you as a chaste virgin to the anointed. So you cannot be under Moses. You cannot have Moses in your mind. Matter of fact, let's read this in Acts 3. Guys have no simple understanding. It is very basic. But guys have no understanding. It's so simple that they reject it. So they reject eternal life. Acts 15 is a very heavy chapter that really reveals Acts 13. The whole book of Acts. You need to master that book of Acts. Guys do not understand the book of Acts because they're not in the spirit to understand it. When that guy was trying to turn the deputy's faith away when he was trying to listen to Paul, this is what guys are set up to do, to turn your faith away from the new covenant and make you wait on it and tell you that you're in Moses. Guys, this is what guys are set up for. They're going to perish. They, like the brother said, they can't go into the kingdom. They can't get in. They can't be a part of the spirit. They're stopping men from going in, and they can't go in themselves. Guys are a bunch of fucking newscasters. Teach you about news all goddamn day. Guys are of the world. They're casting the spell of the world on you. When guys constantly showing you about news, they're casting the spell of the world on you. Men that are constantly trying to hold you to Moses, they're keeping you in the flesh. The news is of what? The world. So that's of the flesh. You're casting spells on our people to keep them in the flesh. From all fucking sides, man. You're being hit with the flesh from everywhere. That's why the majority of guys teaching the new covenant, they're of the flesh. They're of the world, man. There's only a few brothers. There's only a few brothers that really understand this, man. This is Acts 3 and 22. For Moses truly said unto the fathers, a prophet shall your Lord power raise up unto you of your brethren like unto me. See, Moses was the master at that time for that Egypt. He was, the law was given unto Moses. Him you shall hear in all things whatsoever he shall say to you. Moses truly said unto the fathers, a prophet shall your Lord power raise up unto you of your brethren like unto me. Him you shall hear in all things whatsoever he shall say unto you. So Moses himself is telling you to follow the Lord when he comes. But we still got guys are holding you to Moses. Got a bunch of guys, bro. Because a bunch of guys ain't going to make it this time. And it shall come to pass that every soul, check this out, and it shall come to pass that every soul which will not hear that prophet shall be destroyed from among the people. You see that? Yea, and all the prophets from Samuel and those that follow after, as many as spoken, have likewise foretold of these days. So it was foretold of the Lord coming. It was a big thing men were waiting on. And when the Lord came, because guys were sitting on high seats, and just like today, they didn't want to lose their high seat. They hated the Lord healing. They didn't want the Lord to, they didn't want the Romans to take their place for what the Lord was doing. So they killed the Lord out of envy. Just like they killed all the men in the first century. It was all over envy. And now in this time, it is more, covert? It's a covert mission to keep everybody in the flesh. So you have men constantly teaching news articles and constantly teaching the world and constantly teaching you that you're waiting. You're with Moses right now. You're waiting. You see what I'm saying? And then you got guys teaching you you're in two covenants. You under two contracts. There's a bunch of confusion. So the way to see through that is to really understand what they were teaching in Acts and what Moses told you and what the men of the Lord were waiting on all through the Old Testament. So you cannot serve two masters. Guys are of the flesh. They have no understanding. So when we teach, we're not teaching to these brute carnal beasts, which mind earthly things, whose mind is of the flesh. Moses is of the flesh. Teaching the news of the world, that's of the flesh. That is not. Guys think that teaching the news and shit and telling people about the shit that's happening in the world, they think that's interesting. The most interesting thing is understanding the Lord. And what's heavy is not everybody can understand the Lord. So this is very beautiful. The simplicity that's in Yahushua. Acts 3:25, it says, ye are the children of the prophets, and the covenant of God made with your father, saying unto Abraham, and in thy seed shall all kindreds of the earth be blessed. Unto you first, God, having raised up his son, Yahushua, sent him to bless you and turning away every one of you in his iniquities. So it was already set up that the chosen seed will come out of Abraham. And so out of the Lord, everyone is blessed in this time. You cannot hold two masters. There's only one way. The Lord said he will make you free. What the Lord said he will make you free from? That old yoke. To set liberties to the captives. Luke, what was that? Luke 21. I think it was Luke 4. When he stood up and he stood up in the synagogue and he told them that he was here to set people free. And they wanted to kick him. They wanted to throw him off a cliff. Just like you guys, you're in the same spirit. We're telling you that Moses is no longer needed. Guys want to throw us off a cliff. It's crazy. Guys telling you that you're serving two masters. Utter confusion. I say they're fighting for their heritage. Yeah, they're fighting for the old law. That's what you're fighting for. Just say you're fighting for the old law. Because once you got in your mind you're fighting for that old law, you're of the old law. That's what you're holding to. No matter if you believe it or not, you can't hold two laws. You can't hold two masters. You can't hold two contracts. It is very simple. The Lord said, I am the way, the truth, and the light. There's only one way. Yahushua, John 15, he is the tree of life now. That's the way you got to go. And a lot of you guys are not wired to go that way of Yahushua. You're not wired to go that way. You're wired to cling to the flesh. It's so fascinating what's happening in the world. Oh, look at this is happening. Prophecy, watch. That's not prophecy. The true prophecy is the true testimony of the Lord. That is the prophecy. Without the testimony of the Lord and understanding why the Lord came, you're not prophesying. You're just repeating prophecies that already happened, that the men already spoke of. The real prophecy is understanding the Lord and his covenant. The mystery of the Gentiles. Understanding there's a place of torment. Understanding we're free from that law. John 8:31. Then said Yahushua the anointed to those Jews which believed on him, if you continue in my word, then ye are my disciples indeed. If you continue in my word, not Moses' word, the Lord's words. It is a difference why the Lord. It is a difference between covenants. That's why the Lord said Moses gave you not that manner. Once you can understand this, then you can have access to the Spirit. If you can't understand, you can't hold two masters, and you can't understand that you got to let Moses go. You're not in the Spirit. You're in the same spirit that they were in this chapter. When they wanted to pick up stones and stone the Lord, because the Lord was telling them he is the way now, not Moses. So it's very heavy in this time. John 8:32, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. That's why the Lord said he is the way and the truth. You see? Heavy, bro. I'm going to jump down here. See, they're in this. What's heavy is really heavy. Guys that are in these groups, and all you guys that are holding to Moses, you are in the exact same spirit that they were in when they called the Lord a devil. When the Lord made this statement, I'm gonna read this real quick. So, guys, this is how guys really look at us. It is very heavy, the spirit that guys are in. And we've been identifying the spirit that guys are in for a while now. That's why it's very beautiful that more brothers can see. More brothers are strong. Certain brothers are very strong in the new covenant. And that's who the Lord is only dealing with. Guys that really understand this, that are growing in this. We're continuing to grow into this. The Lord said you have to be as a little children. That means you have to be able to understand and grow and learn, to continue learning. Once you cut yourself off from continuing to learn, then you're done. That's why guys got gray hairs and they look all old and shit. Because guys have cut themselves off from life. They're teaching you the tree of good and evil right now. That's what they're holding men to. They call the Lord a devil, man. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. John 8:48, it says, Then answered the Jews and said unto him, Say we not, well, thou art a Samaritan and hast a devil? And Yahushua, the anointed, answered and said, I have not a devil, but I honor my Father, and you dishonor me. They were all about dishonoring what the Lord was teaching. That like guys are dishonoring what we're teaching. Guys hate the teaching of the new covenant. You guys are in that same spirit that the Lord was dealing with them in this chapter. It says, I seek not my own glory. There is one that seeketh and judges. And that's what guys, they've been sitting up for 30, 40 years teaching false doctrine, but we're at the end of that now. It ain't nothing really none of you guys can do. You know, guys, guys are on their way out. What was that? Samuel was 40 years. 40 years in the wilderness. 40 years these elders been teaching. This is it now. If you're not teaching men to believe in the Lord and his covenant in his time, you're going to perish. That is the only reason you should be teaching the Bible. You shouldn't be teaching the Bible trying to old men to the old way that they got out of the old Egypt. That old way that you got out of Egypt in that time is not going to work for this time. This time you got to have faith written in you. Now, if you don't have faith written in you and the Lord's not really in you like that, you're not going to make it. So you don't have faith in you holding to Moses. You're not in the spirit waiting on bodies and all that dumb shit. All you carnal fucking guys out there, man. It is crazy what's happening. Now, this is John 8:51. Check this out. This was going over their heads because they were so fucking carnal, just like today. You guys are so fucking carnal in these groups, and the majority of you guys of the New Covenant. The New Covenant is flooded with guys that are carnal, bro. Their whole doctrine is to keep you to the old heritage of Moses, to keep you under that old yoke. It is crazy. They're doing the same shit they were doing in Acts. And we departed guys, man. We got the fuck away from guys that were going off. We really did. Guys are of the world, man. John 8:51. Verily, verily, I say unto you, if a man keep my sayings, he shall never see death. This goes over guys' heads. The death is eternal life. That's why this is the last time for a lot of you guys teaching like that. This is the last time for false prophets and false brethren that are teaching deceitfully. This is the last time for you guys. Then said the Jews unto him, now we know that thou hast a devil. Abraham is dead, and the prophets that thou sayest, if a man keep my saying, he shall never taste of death. Art thou greater than thy father Abraham, which is dead, and the prophets which are dead, whom thou makest thyself? And Yahushua answered, if I honor myself, my honor is nothing. It is my Father that honoreth me, whom ye say that he is your power. Yet have not known him, but know him. If I should say I know him not, I shall be a liar like unto you. So though Abraham seen the Lord, in the apocalypse of Abraham, he knew that Yahushua was coming. You know, let me just slip that in there for you brothers in the know. But anyway, Abraham seen Yahushua to come later. Just like Paul went in bed and was chopping it up with Moses when he went to the spirit world. Yes, it is records of these things. So Abraham seen Yahushua day coming. And this is what the Lord is explaining to these guys. They don't get it. They don't get it. John 8:56 says, your father Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it and was glad. Then said the Jews unto him, thou art not yet 50 years old, and thou hast seen Abraham. They didn't understand the Lord was eternal. They didn't understand who they were talking to. They had no understanding in that first century. They were carnal. Just like you guys. You're carnal, man. Teaching men they're waiting on new bodies. And the word immortality goes into eternal. Certain men are eternal. You are eternal before some new bodies. You don't have new bodies holding men to that old covenant. The old covenant is not eternal. How guys are teaching immortality when they're holding men to flesh and blood? You're not immortal. You're not going to get nothing immortal holding to flesh and blood, bro. That's why guys sitting in their cars teaching, they have no fucking understanding. They're elders, they're done. Their 40 years, we're at the end of this carnal shit guys been holding you to. Now pretty much all you guys that are holding to that shit, you're holding to death. You're holding to sin. You're holding to the tree of good and evil. Until you get new bodies. So all you guys that are listening to that shit, you're not of faith. And you're going to perish teaching that shit. All you guys that are held in those camps, the Lord does not have mercy on you. Because you're in the flesh in those camps. You're not in the spirit until you come out of those fucking carnal fucking groups. Until you come out of those groups, you are not in the spirit. And you guys of the new covenant, well, you guys, bro, you're worse than guys in camps, because you have the same doctrine as camps, holding men to Moses. So you are not in the spirit. You can't have two masters. You can't have two husbands. You can't mix two garments. Only one husband. I'm reading this because these guys having this discourse with the Lord, this is the spirit that you guys are in holding to Moses. They thought the Lord was a devil. They thought the Lord was crazy. Then said the Jews unto him, thou art not yet 50 years old, and hast thou seen Abraham? And the anointed said unto them, verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I am. Then they took up stones to cast at him, but Yahushua hid himself and went out of the temple, going through the midst of them, and so passed by. So the Lord, he used to go up in the temples cussing you guys out. He used to go up in your fucking synagogues cussing you guys out. So the simplicity in the Lord. It is heavy, bro. So going back to 2 Corinthians 11 and 2, it says, for I am jealous over you with godly jealousy. Right, so that's what spirit guys are in right now. If they had the power to pick up stones and stone us, they would stone us for us teaching the Lord. Even you guys of the new covenant that say you teach the new covenant, you're all about Moses. So you don't understand the new covenant. You don't understand the first century. It says, for I am jealous over you with godly jealousy, for I have espoused you to one husband, that I may present you as a chaste virgin to the anointed. Right, so there's only one way, one husband. Guys are teaching you to be double-minded. So you're not in the spirit thinking that way. You can't walk down two different roads. You got to choose one road. Guys are very unstable. 2 Corinthians 11 and 3, but I fear lest by any means as the serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety, so your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in the anointed. Right, so guys, this understanding is so simple that a lot of guys are stumbling over the Lord. They're telling you that you're still holding to Moses and the Lord at the same time. So guys are very unstable. So the Lord will go into the synagogues and he would cuss their ass out. He would go into the synagogues, turn over the money exchangers' tables, and he would cuss their ass out. This is the spirit that we're in, because what guys are doing, they are holding you to Moses, which the old laws of the flesh. You can't use that old law to get out of here in this time. So guys that are holding that old law, that means they don't have faith in the Lord. Now they can say that they're under the Lord all they want, but if you hold men to Moses, you're of the flesh by default. It's crazy, bro. It's crazy, man. That's why the Lord will go into the temples and overthrow the money exchangers' table. That's why the brother said, no man could put new wine into old bottles, else the old bottles break. And that's what we're dealing with, guys. They say they love the old wine better. Luke 5:36, and he spake also a parable unto them. And he spake also a parable unto them, right? These are parables that guys don't understand. They're carnal. This is what the Lord was referring to. Being married to the Lord, you can only be espoused to one husband. They don't even understand that. They think they're espoused to Moses too. Moses is of the flesh. Romans 8 break down the difference between the carnal and the spirit. Luke 5:36, for he spake also a parable unto them. Guys don't understand these parables. They think you can hold two masters. This is what guys actually think. Guys are fighting for the world, man. They're not fighting for the Lord. They're fighting to keep the old heritage of the old law. That's what they're fighting for. Guys, if you just pay attention to guys, they're telling you why they're doing this. The Lord wasn't telling you to fight for that old law. He said, keep my commandments. And this is a parable right here that goes over your heads, that's letting you know that you can't hold old bottles. You can't put new wine in those old bottles. You can't be of the old covenant talking about you're teaching the new. It doesn't go. So this goes over your head. So you guys have no spiritual understanding. That's why you're in a hateful spirit. And we're outnumbered by false prophets and guys holding to Moses. Yes, you're going to have, all you carnal guys have a so-called larger numbers, because you're teaching men of the flesh and of the world and of Moses and of the news. We're not teaching men that shit over here. We're teaching you how to see men through the spirit, which is beautiful. And so what this means is that a lot of guys can't see through the spirit. They can't. So they're holding you to Moses. Moses can't do nothing for you, man. It's crazy, man. Luke 5:36, and he spake also a parable unto them. No man putteth a piece of new garment upon the old. Right. This is heavy, because it's like, what you really understand is, this new covenant cannot go unto guys that are of the old. And that's what the Lord was showing you right there in John 8, how they hated the Lord. What the Lord was saying, they could not get it. That was an example. They were in a very hateful spirit. It says, and he spake a parable unto them, and he spake also a parable unto them. No man putteth a piece of new garment upon an old. If otherwise, the both maketh a rent, and the piece is taken out of the new agreeth not with the old. And the piece that was taken out of the new agreeth not with the old. Right? These guys don't agree with the new covenant, bro. They agree with Moses more than they agree with the Lord. See, they never believed in the Lord. This is the problem that we have with guys in these last times. Their whole thing is holding you to that flesh. They're of the flesh, bro. If you were born eternal, you don't have to wait on new bodies. You just have to understand that you're of God. The new garments is the garments of righteousness. All right. It is crazy, bro. Revelations 18 and 19:7 says, "Let us rejoice." If you don't have these garments before the Lord come, you're not going to make it, bro. For real. Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife have made herself ready. And to her is granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen is the righteousness of the saints. That is the garments. So if you're not righteous right now, you're not in the spirit. If you're not righteous and your righteousness is of the Lord, you don't have nothing to do with the spirit. We're not waiting on new bodies and new garments. The garments are the righteousness of Yahushua and his new covenant. So if you don't have that, you don't have no rights. You're not in the spirit. Matthew 6:33. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all things shall be added unto you. Remember what Moses said, you have to listen to the Lord in all things. And Romans tell you that that we're not married to that old law. And the Bible, the scriptures talk about the law of the anointed. The law of the anointed. It's in 1 Corinthians 9. Matter of fact, let me grab that. The law of the anointed. The Lord has his own law. And it's also mentioned in Galatians. First Corinthians 9:20. And to the Jews I became a Jew, that I might gain the Jews. To them that are under the law, as under the law, that I might gain them that are under the law. To them that are without law, as without law, being not without the law to God, but under the law of the anointed. So that's what's happening. Men that were under the old law are being gathered to the new covenant and the law of the anointed, and men that didn't have the law unto them, they're also being gathered unto the Lord in this time, the law of the anointed. So it ain't about the law of Moses, it's about the law of the Lord, the law of the anointed, that I might gain them that are without law. You see that? Guys are ashamed of the gospel. They're ashamed of the Gentiles. So guys are not in the spirit. Guys are not in the spirit. That's why they hold to Moses, because in Moses the heathens so-called don't have no place under that old law. But why don't you ask these guys to break down the wall partition, the middle wall of partition? They don't want to go into that. So we're dealing with a bunch of false prophets, a bunch of guys that they have no understanding in these last days. And it's heavy, bro. They're not in the spirit. They're just able to do these theatrics and give you movie clips like they're fighting. You're not fighting for God holding men to Moses. Moses' mission is over. Matter of fact, Moses tell you to follow the Lord in all things. So we're dealing with Satan, basically. That's why Romans say that he espoused you to one husband. And when that husband died, a woman is allowed to marry. So that old law of Moses is dead. So we're married to the Lord right now. And our righteousness is the garments right now. There's no waiting on garments. You're waiting, you're gonna wait, and you're going to perish. Because all while you were waiting, you wasn't repenting to the new covenant and believing in the Lord. You were waiting on some shit. This shit is crazy, bro. And let me get out of here, man. All you false prophets, you're going to perish. Moses is not going to save you in this last day. Moses is in the way of you actually believing in the Lord. Don't let that go over your head. It's like, hey, so like, guys are teaching you that certain guys are teaching you that you're under two covenants. At least the camps are teaching you that you're waiting to be in the covenant. You got certain guys teaching you that you're under two covenants. It's crazy, bro. Hey, repent to the new covenant. It will not stop. The election, which is a small number, they are really repenting. It's a small number. When the elect is sealed, they're going to be sealed. While all of you guys are trying to be deceitful, the elect are going to be sealed right under your nose. And that's going to be it. And you're going to realize what you were teaching was bullshit. You're really going to realize that shit. A lot of you realize it now, but you're so demonic and you're drunk off this world that you're not going to change. And when you end up in that place of torment, then you're really going to realize that you were really fucked up. So there's only one way, man. Guys are trying to make you double-minded, and they're trying to hold you to the flesh on top of that. It's crazy. Hey, repent to the new covenant. There's only one way. With that, hey, shalom.
Really going on in the world, you're going to feel compelled to wake people up. You're going to feel compelled to let people know what there is to know. You've been shown. The thing about it too is that not everybody knows the truth. Not everybody's eyes are open to the truth. And so when you are the person who's been selected to carry a certain level of knowing and a certain level of understanding about what's been happening, people are going to wonder, why you? Why do you know this? Or how do you know this? Or it can't be true. You do not know what you claim that you know. And when you can back it up, and when you can express it, and when you can really let it be known, like, listen, this is what's going on, people are going to take offense to you. They're going to take they're going to be upset with you. They're going to be angry that you would dare to try to instill any kind of truth. And you're going to be like, kind of like put off as well. Like, oh, I didn't know like people were so angry about the truth and so put off, like you'll be talking to some people sometimes trying to tell them some real stuff, the truth, the real stuff of what's really going on. And they'll be like, that's not what it is. That's not true. And you'll ask them, how is it not true? And they'll say, oh, well, my grandma said this, or my teacher taught us that. And it's like, just because your grandma said that and your teacher taught you that does not mean that is true. Does not mean that's all that there is to it. There's more to uncover about this concept or, this situation, but they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to have to change their minds about what has been imprinted on them. Some people, and it happened to the best of us. We grow up with certain ideologies, with certain values instilled in us that we're made to believe that this is how it is. This is how you must be. This is how you must operate. And if you don't fall in line with how we're telling you to be, you're going to suffer consequences. And in the end, weren't they kind of right? Because it's like when we're trying to live our full truthful lives or speak on the truth and bring that stuff to light, we do get that negative backlash. We do feel how aggressive people can get towards us and how people feel like we should just fall in line with the herd and we should fall in line with what's been taught, what's been imprinted on our minds. And there is more to the world than that. There's more to be uncovered. There is more to know. When you have that knowledge and you're trying to spread awareness about whatever it is that matters to you, and perhaps what you feel like should matter to other people as well, you're going to be met with a lot of backlash. People are just going to be totally put off and dumbfounded that you would even have a different view. You know, there's certain things, certain values, and opinions of other people that were imprinted upon myself, you know, and I really do feel like people wanted me to live vicariously through them. But, you know, growing up, it did work at first because you rely on people around you to guide you. What if these people themselves are also misguided, right? So it's a